Huh?
Yeah, we got our COVID once together, and they thought we were just so cute.
Aww.
I think if anyone sees you guys together, they think you're so cute. They're like, oh my God, I want to throw up. They're so cute.
It's because that is an accurate statement. They're too cute.
Okay, it's me. I said it. I want to throw up because you're so cute.
Ironically, I can remember people literally saying those exact words about you and I.
Not anymore. Welcome to marriage. Are you guys looking forward to marriage or what? In love with movies, in love, in love,
Danny and Nick.
in love with movies. Da-da-da. Welcome, movie lovers, to. Do I sound like Nick when I do that?
No.
Welcome, movie lovers. Do you have? Never mind. I'm gonna say, do you have COVID? No.
Too soon.
Not too soon. Too soon.
Wow, I'm sweating already.
Wow. Welcome, movie lovers, to In Love with Movies. I'm Nick.
Daddy.
Aww. All right, so should we go for take 3?
That's 4.
You guys got this.
What up, movie lovers? This is Danny.
And I'm Nick.
And what are we on, Nick?
In Love.
With movies.
And what do we talk about, Danny?
Podcast. It's talking about love and movies. All right. This is it. That's all we got.
Oh, my goodness. And Danielle, why don't you introduce us to our lovely guests today? Returning guests. I think these might actually be our first set of guests that are the same people returning in the same fashion. We've had one person who came in one pairing and another person came in a different pairing, but this is the first returning couple.
Yeah, because we're making this a tradition, a holiday tradition, you might say.
We're calling it right now. It's an annual thing.
Yeah, I mean, Madison told me it had to be, so. So yeah, welcome back, our favorite couple who is in a different position than they were last year because they're engaged. We got Madison and Nick.
Hello.
Hey.
Do we have a little button?
I was going to try and...
Ah!
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Madison can't hear it. Nick can.
Oh, I can hear it. It's just not fitting the context.
I don't think we have a... Oh, that I like the magic.
Oh, that was good.
Madison and Nick.
All right. Enough playing with the soundboard.
Wow, this is going to be a
This is
great
off the rails as an episode.
That's okay. It fits with the great movie that we're gonna talk about later, which is which one, Madison?
Falling for Christmas? Is that what it's called?
I was going to say, did you just struggle to remember the name?
I've been calling it Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie.
Lindsay Lohan's comeback.
Solid choice. This is the beginning of the Lohan-assance.
Up, or you see that on the internet.
No, just right now. It's like, what is the, they say the Kiana-assance and the Leah-assance,
The Lilo-assance.
Yeah.
Lohan-assance.
The Lohan-assance.
That's good.
This is it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got Madison and Nick here. They're engaged. They weren't engaged last time we talked, right? You got engaged this summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
How was that?
Yeah.
It was great.
Is there a story that goes along with that? Did you propose while she was brushing her teeth, while you were drinking coffee? I know that was our story, so.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So it was June 17th, and Nick took us to this kind of like park thing. It's hard to explain. It's just, it has a lot of buildings, and there was a pond, and it was very scenic. And yeah, we were like walking around this pond. We were supposed to go be meeting some friends for a double date. That's what Nick told me. And I believed
Sneaky.
and then he was like, "Oh, just wait. I gotta get my wallet because like he keeps his wallet under his wheelchair." So he like bent down to get his wallet, and he popped back up with the ring. And I was like, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just like, boop-a-doop. And then I was kind of like, oh. And then, he launched into his like cute spiel, which both of us were basically blacked out for. And then he like waves, you know, after I say yes and we kiss, he like waves and I hear like, woo, yeah! And my family was there. Like my parents came in from Pittsburgh and my sister from Kansas and my other sister from New York.
Dude.
Yeah. And then his family was there and his sister and stepsister were taking photos. And then we went back to his mom's house for like an engagement party with a bunch of extended family, which he planned. And then that weekend, because my family was in town, Nick was like, actually, none of the plans I told you that you're doing this weekend are actually happening. You're going wedding dress shopping. I set up a few appointments. Your sister and I worked together to set up a few appointments so you can go shopping with your family while they're in town. Because there's no way I could have gotten everyone together again to like go shopping with me. So wedding dress shopping at a few places that weekend.
Okay, I have jokingly talked about people making me feel ashamed of our story before. I actually feel just completely blown out of the water with regards to the proposal. Not just because of the moment of the proposal, but all of the extra around it, Nick. That is amazing.
Actually, Nick, with a C, not with a K, did you know this? That I had this big of a part.
You did!
I had a tiny little baby part in it because Madison's not coming to improv practice today. So I knew that she was getting engaged, and I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I read the message when I was on the toilet, and I screamed so loud. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was so excited. It made me so happy. Nick, is that the same story that you remember, or do you remember it differently?
That's exactly how it worked out. Yeah.
Did you have your like proposal speech ready ahead of time?
Oh yeah, but I thought I had it memorized, and then it was completely gone the second I went to start. And I was like, I started it over like 5 times. I was like, I swear I wrote something like 5 seconds ago, and like knowing that people were taking pictures and like I saw them out of the corner of my eye, and it just like totally distracted me. I was like, oh man, I forgot everything.
Were you nervous? Like, did you think she would say no?
No, it was just like, I don't know, just like the pressure of trying to remember it.
Yeah.
I just like basically spat out 3 bullet points. I'm like, yeah, you are good. You want to marry me now?
Point number
No, I went a little better than that, but
I mean, Madison said she blacked out. I'm sure she doesn't remember it. I don't remember a thing you said to me, truly. I just said, you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, I remember lots of screaming, and then you were like, "Are you like? Is this for real? Is this for real?" Like you were struggling to come back to reality and recognize that it was happening. Probably because when you're brushing your teeth and half dressed in the morning, that's not when you expect things like that to happen. So.
It was real. But then Madison has one of the coolest rings. This is a bad platform to show it in the podcast.
Go find us on YouTube, everyone, to see just this thing that she's about to show us. Scrub forward to the time, and then while you're there, subscribe.
Okay, all right. I'll see if I can show it. Oh no,
to the left.
The camera. Okay.
Ooh,
right.
that is.
You've seen it.
I know. But the listeners don't know that. I'm trying to.
This
Listeners,
is for the audio only.
It's a large diamond with smaller diamonds around it, but it's a flower, which is very like Madison, very like happy and like woohoo.
Pretty.
Very pretty, very unique. I love it. It's so cute. Well, we are very happy for you, especially because we may or may not be invited to the wedding too. I'm very excited. But I know you all.
And in case you haven't already made that plan, now it's out in the internet.
Yeah.
No,
you are.
No, Madison made sure because unfortunately you have a big weekend to compete with because Taylor Swift may or may not be in Chicago for 3 giant stadium shows.
I know. We had it planned first. So
We didn't get engaged pre-release of
the announcement.
Midnights.
We basically knew what our date was going to be before we got engaged because
I told Madison we should tell Taylor before we send out all the save the dates because she gets really busy. And here we are.
Honestly, you guys should invite her. My brother, and this is a new thing, and obviously it's a TikTok trend, but if you invite like famous people or celebrities or rich people to your wedding, they definitely won't show up, but you might get gifts.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
some staffer who doesn't actually know who that person does or does not actually know is just like, we got an invitation. It must be someone. I don't know who they are, so they're not on the important group of people lists, but we don't want them to feel unwanted, so I'm just going to send them something.
I do send a Christmas card to Carol Burnett every year.
I love that on so many levels.
I don't know why I was shocked. I'm not shocked at all. So are you going to invite her to your wedding?
That I probably should.
Yeah.
Add her
She's
to the
gonna just assume this person who she's been getting all these Christmas cards from all these years must just be a relative who she's forgotten about and feel guilty, and then she'll come to the wedding.
We do look somewhat alike. So.
I was gonna say you could be a relative of Carol Burnett. You're funny. You got the good timing. You both have short hair.
That
Yes, because these are
They
all
are
genetic traits.
You think she'd give us her apartment? I mean, she's trying to pawn it off.
Her apartment.
I didn't know that.
Oh
Carol
yeah,
was
I
in the
forgot about
apartment.
that. I
Wait,
said
Yeah,
what?
Madison sent me the link that she's selling her LA apartment.
I
How
don't know if she's
much?
trying to pawn it off.
Like $4 million. So I mean, we could take that.
Chump
Yeah.
change.
I guess.
Ain't no thing.
For an apartment. Listen, that's too much.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're not here to talk about marriage and stuff.
We talk about that too much on this episode. Or
And
this show.
love and how much you guys stinking love each other. We're here to talk about like the journey that's brought you here and kind of like the obstacles that maybe you anticipate moving forward, because you bought a house, you got a lot of other things. So you are, what is interabled couple? Is that right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I should know that. Yeah.
Interabled love.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that aspect of your relationship?
Cool. I'll dive into dive
my
into
God.
the
It's just
so yeah,
I had to
I
take a
can
second.
discuss. So my background is I had a diving accident in 2017. So yeah, I broke my C6 vertebrae, so I'm a quadriplegic, and yeah, that is basically my story since then. I've just been navigating life now. I was just about to turn 27, so it's like a lot of people, if they didn't know me before my injury, like nobody even knows, how long it's been. So it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It feels weird to talk about like knowing how to do things because people might not. I don't know. I'm like, I love to weightlift, so if I hear people talking about that, I want to weigh in. But then people are like, "What would you know?" It's like,
I want to weigh in.
I
Did you see
enjoy-
that pun you just did there?
That's
Yeah. Actually, Nick, I didn't know that either because obviously I knew you before. So I did not know.
mhm.
yeah. When you made
Yeah.
the joke and Madison reacted, my first thought was it had something to
Yeah.
do with what you were about to say, and then it went,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was something else because I thought I'd already known, and I guess maybe I thought car accident or something, and then my brain thought that Madison was making a reference to the movie that we're going to discuss. And so I was like, I went
Wow.
ping ponging all over the place before you then said it was a diving accident. And I was like, oh,
I know,
shit,
right?
it was really that we were laughing. Very much too soon. I also did not realize it was, I guess in my head, I thought it was much longer ago. So
Yeah, I know. I'm still fresh, still a newbie. Yeah.
Still,
It's very recent. So yeah, still like a lot of things I'm learning and navigating. Like even the job hunt was a little weird and interesting. Like, what do you say before you show up for an interview?
Mhm.
Remote
Yeah.
work was luckily I found a remote position which ended up being perfect. So yeah, that was like a weird thing too. That I'm like, I don't know what. I mean, it's not like I don't know. You would be like, by the way, I have diabetes before this interview. I just feel like you should know. So I don't know. Anything you
Yeah.
have, what are you, obligated to disclose? So, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I feel like we should just get into it. 'Cause,
yeah,
just working in the like disability world, that's a conversation I have so much with my students is like, they're finishing college, they're going to go to a job interview. And it's like, do you walk in and say, hello, my name is so-and-so and I have autism? Like there's so many pros and cons to like disclosing before you even start that interview, right? It's like people in their head can already count you out to be like, well, you're different, you're wrong, we can't have you fit here, or we have to make accommodations for you, when in reality most accommodations cost $0. You know, like really just like extra time off, or if you need like a different desk or something like that, like between $0 and $500. It's not a lot of money. So there's just like such, I'm sure it's really hard for you, Nick, because there's such like a misconception of like employers. Like, how do you change the world and their outlook on people and the things that you can do, rather than like you shouldn't have to change. Obviously they should be able to accommodate you. So that's tough. Well, thank you for sharing that though, and letting me know, because you and I met when maybe I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure seeing in the halls all those years ago.
No, we were in the same jazz band, bro. You don't remember?
Uh-oh. She's about to fight you.
Yeah.
We were in the same summer jazz, I think.
Summer? No, I didn't do summer, but...
Oh, your memory is flawed. Danielle is wrong.
Wait,
She's been misremembering it for years.
Okay, me and Joe Barry looked a lot alike. Was Joe Barry in there?
Well, I know Joe Barry because he was in my section, you know, my sax section.
Yeah.
Saxon?
My section. Well, weird. Anyways, well, now I don't even know who you are. What is your name again?
I'm Nick.
Literally actually in front of you on the screen. It's just
here.
Yeah, so Nick and I met on a dating app. So that's how we met.
Very romantic.
It's a modern love story. It's like we met at a bar. It's the same thing these days.
Yeah, so I knew beforehand that he was in a wheelchair. I just didn't know the circumstances of his disability. But yeah, he told me before we met about his accident, and then so yeah, it was definitely something I've never dated someone before with a physical disability that I know of, and so it was it's definitely been a learning curve for me, but it's not something that I don't know, that really changed anything, you know? There were times when I had to weigh whether or not before we started dating, I was like, okay, am I going to be able to handle all the obstacles that the world throws at us, you know? And it was Nick, so of course. I didn't really, you know, I was everybody has challenges that they come up against, and there's no difference of whether I would meet somebody and then they became disabled, because at some point all of us are going to be either caregivers or cared for, or we can't control what happens in life. So I was as long as it's with Nick, it's okay, you know?
Oh, so cute.
If you don't mind me asking, you said that you knew in advance, but there was a time sort of early in the relationship. Do you remember when that was, or sort of what it was like when you went through that calculus of if do I, was it sort of the things are getting serious? Do I really want to, how much is there? How well did you know Nick, I guess, before you felt like you had to make that decision, I guess is the question I'm asking.
Well, I would say so when we first started talking, we talked over the app, we had really good chemistry. I really enjoyed talking to him. We were jiving really well. He was hilarious, very funny, very kind, super nice. And we had the same values, and I was oh my gosh, I hope this person is cool in person too. And not just really good at talking, you know, and I was scared before going out, because I was I don't want to what if it doesn't work out and then he thinks that I don't want to be with him because he has a disability, and I was judging, you know. And so then we went out, and it was oh my gosh, this guy is way cooler than I am. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. And
listeners who are not watching on YouTube, this is where Nick is blushing terribly. It's
so
really cute right now. Continue, Madison.
And then I would say so we like didn't officially like become official or whatever until like a month afterward. And I would say that like month in between, I was just like, okay, I gotta like make sure wrap my mind around like exactly how things would be different for us, and like the different ways that our kind of like traditional gender roles might be switched up, you know, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like in our relationship, like I've had to jump a car, right? like or like help change a flat tire or whatever. Like those are types of things that were just like flashing through my mind of like, okay, is it something that I feel like I'm strong enough to do and can also like support him in, and like that things will be different than like the society told me that they would be. And
Right.
I was like, yeah, you know, it's gonna be okay. We'll get through it together. And Nick is like so supportive and all that. Like whenever I had to jump a car, I didn't know what I was doing, so he was just like, okay, here's what you do. Like so calm and collected, and like he's my brain and I am the hands, you know,
Sure.
for things that need to get done. So yeah.
That's really impressive, because I imagine, like, kind of as you're saying, you just picture yourself in those settings. And as you described it, Madison, I know Danielle, I don't think, knows how to jump a car. Definitely does not know how to change a tire.
You mean you just jump over the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then it just magically starts, which is why Nick wasn't able to do it anymore. I mean,
Right.
normally he would have been totally fine.
Just jump start it.
No, so but you described Nick being able to explain what to do to you in such a calm manner and be able to just be the brain. If for any reason whatsoever, I had to like Danielle, if she called me or something and I had to then describe to her how to do that in a similar scenario, I would not have been calm. I would not be patient. I would be like, how do you not know how to do this already? This is so obvious. It is these colors going different places. And she's like,
Oh, there's colors involved.
oh my God. See my point. Thank you so much. I love you so much. I don't even know if that was a joke or a serious statement. Anyway, so that's impressive to me. And I think that speaks a lot to why it's not going to be, you know, or has clearly not been as much of a hurdle, because those types of things are, yeah, like you said. And I also think that society is, you mentioned gender roles specifically. I do think there's a lot of that. And it's just like, we're finally, I think, in this country, starting to realize that most of those are bullshit.
Yeah, like I'm the sugar mama and always have been and always will be. Sorry.
There was a brief 1.5 month period where I made more money than she did in our relationship. 1.5 months. Got a new job and made more again.
Yeah. But Nick, do you want, like, from your perspective, like dating Madison and, you know, falling in love with her, and how was all that? Especially, I guess you said at the top of this, like being relatively new to like your new body, I guess.
Yeah, like definitely the app thing was, it's tough and weird, and like it got pretty exhausting because like you have to dive into conversations a little deeper more quickly, because it's
Sure.
like I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you forever. And also it gets really annoying telling like my same story over and over and like blah blah blah. But so,
and it's reliving and deep and emotional.
Yeah,
you
like,
probably don't have to for
yeah, exactly. And Madison was like, the way she responded to it and like went through all that with me, like that was just great. Like right off the bat, she was really just like curious about it and like really accepting and like encouraging. And I just like, you could tell her heart, like just like right off the bat of who she is. And like, so I wasn't, okay, well, obviously I was extremely nervous because I liked her a lot too, but like I wasn't nervous for like an acceptance sense on the first date, which is like something you face too. But yeah, like, and so yeah, just like those conversations right off the bat are always tough. And then obviously there's just like a lot of random scenarios that pop up. So like Madison mentioned the jump starting one, that thing was just crazy because we went to the zoo lights at Lincoln Park and like, so it didn't even unfold like a normal dead battery because like, my van has a ramp to get in, and also the driver's seat, like it's hard to explain, but like it's a mechanical seat that not only slides way away from the steering wheel, but like it swivels 180 degrees. Like I get in it, swivel, whatever. So like I got in the seat, swiveled back, pulled all the way up to the steering wheel, and I was almost pulled up and just the battery died then. And then with the battery dead, I'm like trapped in the seat then. So it's like I had to just, we were sitting in the, just parked along the street in Lincoln Park for about 45 minutes waiting for a jump. Like we couldn't even get out to do anything. Like, just like, here we are.
Oh my God.
And then
crazy.
after that, we got his car jumped, and then we were like, well, it's still early in the evening, so your car's jumped, the engine's running, so it should be fine. Let's just go back to like my apartment. And then we got back to parked outside of my apartment. Oh, but before that, we went to Target and got jumper cables because we didn't have them, just in case. Then we park outside of my apartment, and then he he gets back into his wheelchair, and then the ramp wouldn't come out or something.
Yeah, I think it did die opening up.
Yeah, so then his car's dead again, and I live on Sheridan, so I have to get my car, park in the middle of Sheridan next to him, and then jump his car from the middle of the road at 10 o'clock at night.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
We have gone through all the adventures already. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I do think though, any relationship, like you said, Madison, is going to have its own issues. And I think those big moments kind of bring you closer together. I remember Nick and I, one of the first times I ever felt close to him was when we were at a movie premiere for Horrible Bosses 2. And at the end of the premiere, it was a packed theater because the directors were there. Can't remember. Someone said, everybody run. And it was right in the time of mass shootings and all that stuff happening. So we sprinted followed this crowd down the set of stairs. People were falling. Remember that woman who just tumbled and no one helped her and she was getting run over. And it was one of the scariest experiences ever. But we were together. And so knowing that we could get through it together and you making me feel safe, I think really brought us together. And I think that moment almost solidified for me, this is my person. If it's something as scary as something like this, and we can do it together, and I feel safe and I feel okay afterwards. And I think that's the first time we told each other that we loved each other, because it was just in that moment where it's wow, we could have lost everything, or we could have been hurt, or and then it just made us closer together.
Yeah, the next day it took a long time for me to figure out what it was, and eventually, because it wasn't even newsworthy, we finally tracked it down that there had just been a fist fight or something that happened at the front of the crowd leaving the theater.
It was a little stabby stab. There was a couple people stabbing.
No.
Yeah, there's a knife.
I'm remembering things differently, but whatever, did not involve a gunman or anything like that.
Kind of.
Yeah, what I was going to say is regardless of what was happening at the front of the crowd, we were at the back of the crowd, and there was just this shout of run the other direction from the front. So those of us at the back, we didn't have any other concept of what was going on. But I remember that being really scary. It's funny, you think of this really beautiful moment that brought us closer together. As they were sharing their story, I was thinking of a story that was probably one of our most trying times as an early couple, and it was around the Lincoln Park zoo lights.
I know you're
And so it's this apparently is just a bad time for couples, or it's a make or break. It's a cauldron. It's a crucible, if you will.
If you want to know if you're going to marry someone, go to Zoo Lights with them.
And specifically drive there, because I'd been there to Zoo Lights before with friends, but I'd never had this issue where, and I'll try to make it short, but
yeah,
we got back to the car and then could not get into the car because we realized that the car key, which is a key fob, had just fallen out of my pocket somewhere. And we had been out to dinner that night. We'd been around Lincoln Park for 6 hours since we parked the car, had no idea. So we spent an hour trying to go back and look for it. Couldn't find it. Eventually one, or I can't remember if both of us went in the Uber. We had to drive back to, my apartment, get the key, then have the Uber drive us back to the place. And then there was this extra layer of the battery in the key fob had died. And so it wasn't immediately unlocking the car. And I had to figure out how you open up the key fob to get the actual physical key as an emergency to open. It was it was a whole thing. It was like a 3-hour ordeal, and it was trying, and it does not sound like it went as nicely as yours did.
Oh, ours started off poorly too. I got there and I realized I had a ticket for the wrong night. And even though we looked so sad and cute and pathetic, they were like, sorry.
Oh,
They turned us away.
Oh, so you didn't even see zoo lights?
We did not.
No.
Maybe this year.
Maybe.
No, maybe don't. I don't know.
maybe we go together as a couple's date, and then that'll like cancel the bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now you bought a house, right?
Mhm.
Closer to us, which I'm very excited. And Madison will be moving in when your lease ends, and then Nick's moving in after you get married.
Mhm.
But there was some extra hurdles around the house too, right?
Oh, yeah.
The market was terrible for one.
That too,
So
yeah.
that was one hurdle. We closed in the beginning of September. So, but looking was really hard because, like, the way houses are, especially in the Midwest, everything is like, what is it? Like,
I hate the architect who invented the raised ranch. Why? No. But that's everything that was in
That
the
is
price.
100% valid.
Yeah, we would get, we would be looking in Zillow and we're like, this is perfect. And then it would be like, raised ranch, or like there's 3 stairs in the middle of the house for no reason whatsoever. So so trying to find a place that was one floor was hard, and then also like somewhere that was like the hallways were big enough for a wheelchair to fit down, and the doorways were able to be widened for Nick to fit through, and some were like on the side of a hill, and like that's like hard for Nick getting in and out of the car. So and like the places that did work ended up being like real old, and like we would have to do a lot of work on them. So the place that we ended up finding, it was actually perfect. Like, it is actually perfect because the person who lived there before was a wheelchair user. So there's already like ramps in the garage so that we can just like park and then go into the house from there. And it's all like one level. Most of the doors we will need to like widen a little bit. But that's like the one major thing that we have to do. And we have to build like a ramp out front. But because there's ramps in the garage, it's already like Nick can get in if he wants to just go there. So it worked out really well. And like, but we had to put like an offer in as soon as kind of like we knew that we liked it. And it really helped that like we did write a letter to the current owners, because they were like, we really just want good people who are going to be able to enjoy the house and kind of like deserve to have it. So it was kind of a best case scenario for us in the end.
I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, she wrote a real tearjerker of a letter.
I could imagine.
I know. As I was writing, I was like, we gotta make him cry a little bit.
Yeah, house searching in general is freaking hard, and then those extra layers is pain in the butt. Well, that's very exciting.
I feel like it's it's probably almost cliche to say, but it's hard enough. But and as you said, Madison, everyone's got their own like concerns, but so many people end up with very much similar concerns. And whereas you all just had this other layer, this other set of considerations that had to be made that most individuals would just not even think about. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's really exciting to be able to kind of like, so the house it's like relatively new, like 30 years old. So it's not like new, but it's not old.
Right.
But the person who lived in it before had some choice interior design. Oh no. There's a lot of wood and wallpaper and all this. So it's fun to put our own like touch on it and like make those decisions together. And like the floors just got completely ripped up this weekend, and and it's also provided a lot of like challenges for us to work through as a couple. Like I spent 3 hours trying we spent several hours on doorknobs.
That was another fun trying to talk through things without being able to do it myself experience.
So she's like
The house is
explaining to you.
Yeah, the house is presenting a lot of those of just like I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, like maybe we should do this. Trying to be as polite as I can. And not even just with Madison, just like everybody is there. My parents are helping a lot. They're being really helpful. So but I'm just like, okay, deep breaths. You don't need to correct everything. It's hard. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, as Madison will strongly
Madison
agree
just
with.
The face Madison just made.
So hard.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's stuff like that, but I think it's really helpful for us to know how like we work through problems like that. And yeah, it's hard for him to like sit and watch doing things like, well, I'm doing things that I'm bad at and he, you know, would be good at, and I'm the one that has to do it, you know, when he's the one that wants to do it. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic, but it's also cool to like the doorknobs that we're putting on, like you can open them. It's a cool accessibility feature. You can open the door lock with your phone. So like that's one way we're making our house more accessible. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. And I think that example especially perfectly articulates sort of the like, although there are differences or different hurdles to overcome in an interabled relationship, that like what really is happening is still the same as any other relationship. There is this hurdle that you have to overcome. You have to figure out how you're going to communicate with each other. There's probably someone who's really frustrated about the way things are going and someone who's just trying their best to now Danielle's giving me a look. Somebody who's just trying their best to, you know, make it happen as best as they can. And that's not a unique thing. That I think is just a sort of tale as old as time.
Yeah, Nick and I cannot. There are like 3 things that we can never ever do together, and we vowed: move furniture. Nope, it doesn't work out.
Not a
Nick
good plan.
tried to help me. Now I know you want to take down wallpaper, but I put up some cute wallpaper. But Nick tried to help me, and we almost got a divorce. He kept putting holes in the wallpaper and then was like getting so mad.
I was trying so hard just to do what I was instructed, but yeah, try as I might, I kept putting holes in the damn stuff. Start all over.
And I can't think of the 3rd thing. But home ownership is also fun though, because you get to like, after the hard part, you get to take a step back and look at it and be like, this is ours. We did that.
Yeah.
Like Nick just put handles on our cabinets, and I remember when I was 19 or 20 and I was commuting into the city and I was like hearing these ladies' conversations on the train, and I vowed to myself, I even like tweeted it. I was like, I will never be that person who talks about cabinets. And now I love
Here
cabinets.
you are on a podcast talking about how awesome your cabinets are.
Yeah, because it's exciting, and hopefully it's more good than tough for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have time to work on it too, which is good.
yeah, and I think it definitely has been like more good than tough. Like even when we do go through those things that are really hard, we like sit down and we're like, that was really hard. Yeah, and we're pretty good at communicating about it, and Nick's really good at like making sure I'm sharing my feelings and making me feel validated for all the things that like the many layers of feelings that can be experienced, especially in our type of relationship. So yeah,
That's awesome. Well, is there any like final thoughts or advice or just things that you want to share about your relationship in general, or like advice for other people out there in the dating world trying to find their person? I don't know. I didn't prep them for this.
I was going to say they were not.
that's a really like open-ended question.
Everyone's romantic relationship. That's the prompt. Go over.
Yeah. I would say like definitely when it comes to, well, we met on an app, right? So when it comes to that, like be open to like every person, no matter what their like what their story is. Of course, I'm not saying like be open to people who are gonna hurt you, like that you know are bad people, but like if I had like seen Nick and been like, oh, like I don't think I have like what it takes to be who he needs, and swiped so fast,
Yeah.
then I would have missed out on like knowing like this incredible person who's like completely changed my life and is like he's the person that I always dreamed of but never thought I would actually have. Like yeah, and like the way that he treats me so well and like loves me so like deeply and like I don't know, I'm getting all frazzled. But and then also like I didn't think that, I mean, I would have said that I thought that I deserved that kind of love, but in reality, I don't think that I was really like, I was going on dates with people and it wasn't like these guys really were not treating me well. And I was like, it's all right. Like, they're just a human. We can work it out, blah, blah, blah. And I was letting them treat me like trash. And I thought that it was my fault. And like Nick has never made me feel that way and has always been so encouraging and treats me the way that I never thought I could be treated. So yeah, I would say like don't give up on looking, and don't also don't filter out people who could be great, you know.
Okay, I know I'm the big softy, but I literally have tears in my eyes. So.
I know, me too. That was great.
know,
That's why she wrote the letter to get the house.
Yeah.
Nick, go ahead, follow that up.
Oh my gosh, I know I should have gone first. With a joke, I got a joke. No, not a joke, but so I think one thing too is I think vulnerability is always really important. It's something a lot of people shy away from, especially guys, and it's okay to show your flaws, even if you don't mean to, like peeing your pants on a date. It really helps you filter people out, and I have had that happen a handful of times. And Madison, thankfully, is a saint, and she still loves me. And that's another element of this not everybody would know about, but I'm happy to share. And I'm really happy to share it, but I do.
Oh.
And I think just like things that you're scared of. I mean, I was terrified to have to talk about when that happened, and people surprise you, if they're Madison at least.
Yeah.
Well, and that's to your end. It's the same thing we were saying earlier. It's a different manifestation of the same thing, though. Of like, this is a true reality of who you are as a person, and you just almost don't have the choice to hide it the way that maybe some other people would. Yeah. But the kernel of what you're saying there is like, don't even try. Be vulnerable, because the right person won't care. Like, that's not going to scare them away.
Yeah, and Nick, it's cool to pee your pants.
I'm Miles Davis over here.
Miles Davis. Sorry, I had to.
All right, and with that Billy Madison reference, that was perfect. I think we might as well go to our next segment, which is actually, movie lovers, just going to be a plug real briefly before we go to a break.
What?
I am surprising my wife on air. We have run out of our Closer Through Science questions. And so we don't have any more to ask Madison and Nick. And so we want to hear from you, movie lovers. Do you want us to start the list over again and go through it all from question number 1? Do you have other ideas of scientifically related things, and we could just continue Closer Through Science through some other means or some other piece of conversation? Or do you have some other idea for a segment that we could plug in to get to know each other on a deeper level at the end of this first half of our future episodes? Let us know on our socials. Where can they find us, Danielle?
Oh, God. It's on the screen, right?
It is, but it's partially covered up right now.
The letter N, Love with Movies.
Yeah.
On all our social medias.
There you go. It helps when we put it all in the same place. At the letter N, Love with Movies, and in the letter N, Love with Movies at gmail.com. So let us know your ideas, whether you want us to start over, whether you have a new idea Closer Through Science, or whether you have some new idea for a segment that we could plug in here. And with that, though, we are going to go to a brief break before we return to discuss what movie again, Madison and Nick?
Falling. For Christmas.
Yes.
I was gonna say Falling in Love. What a generic title.
Fall
That's
for
it.
Christmas.
In love with movies. Da da da.
And we're back. Welcome back, movie lovers, to In Love with Movies.
I found my notebook.
That was actually a bit of a challenge during the break.
Turns out it was exactly where I left it.
But we are all back. We are all back, ready to talk all about the 2022 instant classic,
Yeah.
Falling for Christmas, right? That's what we decided was Falling
'cause
for Christmas.
Spoiler alert, she falls.
Oh, dun dun dun.
So Falling for Christmas.
Yeah, so a little bit of brief opening credits. So this movie, as I said, comes out in 2022. That is available right now. It was available the same month that we are releasing this episode.
It came out November 13th?
I think 10th.
10th.
I thought it was 10th. Too.
Sorry, my bad.
But this episode comes out like around Thanksgiving. So, all right, it is starring Lindsay Lohan.
Lilo, she back.
The Lohanaissance, she is returning. Cord Overstreet, which I thought the name
Yes.
sounded familiar by itself, but I definitely was not realizing it was the guy from Glee. If anyone was a fan of Glee, it is Trouty Mouth from season 1 of Glee. This was directed by someone named Jameen Damien. Basically has directed a bunch of other movies like this where they're, Hallmark, Netflix types. Writers are Jeff Bonet, and I thought that was worth noting that their story credit was Jeff Bonet, and there was teleplay was also written by Ron Oliver, but Jeff Bonet, it was their first writing credit. So this is like their first ever film, which
they've
is
never written anything. I couldn't tell.
No.
a bunch of other movies. And then I did notice or did want to note Olivia Perez, who plays the little girl in this, because I think she's actually a bit of a star power and kind of stands out. She was also in The Heights. So that is our opening credits.
Yeah, she plays Lynn. Nope. What's his name? The little guy.
Navi's. I mean, the character is Navi. He plays Navi's daughter.
Usnavi? Oh, yeah.
Usnavi. Thank you. My bad. You're right.
Usnavi.
Mansplaining to you this.
Yeah. Please tell me about Broadway, Nick.
All right. So that's the opening credits of this movie. It's pretty recent. So we're going to have some short love stories. But before we get to that, Dani, it's time for everyone's favorite segment.
Already?
Time for Danny's Dingle.
All right. Paris Hilton Light. Spoiled. Gay influence boyfriend. Remote location. Yellow diamond. Uh-oh. They fell. Oh, saved by a rugged man. Ralph. Amnesia. Who am I? An angel. An actual angel. That goes on the tree. Granny. Of course, widow. Dead mom. Dad comes back. Santa Claus. The end. Did that describe the whole movie? Are your lungs okay right now? That was a squeak.
Sorry, apologies. I think it's so funny how long it took you just to get to like the moment when the falling occurred. That's like not even the end of the first act.
Wow. Again, spoiler alert.
But also the mention of the yellow diamond, that is, I have thoughts, so we will get there. All right. Well, we just mentioned it's just came out this time. This year, like less than a week ago. So our love stories are all that we watched them this week. Dani and I did it on the couch a couple of days ago. Madisson.
We watched the movie on the couch.
Hey, maybe this movie got us going a little bit. That's perfectly okay for things to happen. Sometimes movies get your motor running. And anyway, Madisson, Nick, in what context or what was the details of how you watched this movie?
Yeah, did you do it on the couch too?
Listen, because I was
in true COVID fashion.
We watched over FaceTime
Oh,
at the same time.
Well, I'm sure you're going to rewatch it very soon.
I think Nick has.
Yeah, I did a double watch again. I had to be prepared.
I love that. We love your dedication.
I do.
But also, I
his
want to
homework.
ask, I know you were on last year, Madison, but I kind of want you to share just your love story in general of these wonderful holiday movies.
I like that. Yeah, why are you a returning guest with
Mhm.
this theme?
Yeah, I don't know when or how it happened, but I really love Christmas, and I've always really enjoyed Christmas. But I started doing Christmas cards in like 2015 when I first started to like live on my own, because I was like, I can do this thing that couples do, and I can do it funny. And so
And they are funny.
yeah, Nick and I are sending one out this year, and we're very excited about it. This one is really good, if I'm just being honest. But anyway, so I sent out Christmas cards, and then I started seeing all the people talking about Hallmark Christmas movies, and a few years ago I was like, I can watch these movies and make fun of them, and it can be fun. And so I started like doing on my Instagram stories like movie reviews in air quotes of these Hallmark Christmas movies, and most of the time, I rate them on 4 things. I think like Christmas spirit, likelihood to watch again, as well as like I don't remember the other ones, like believability or something like that. But in any case, or nostalgia is one of them, I think.
Oh yeah.
But in any case, I just like enjoy watching them to make fun of them, and people really enjoy watching me make fun of them because that's how we all feel about them. But at the same time, I don't mind watching them in general because I know that I'm gonna walk away from the movie feeling good. Like I know I don't have to like be stressed about it. I know exactly what's gonna happen. People make fun of them because they have the same plot every time. But I'm like, if I get to watch some cheesiness and make fun of it and know that things are gonna end up okay, that's kind of nice because that doesn't happen in life very often,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just where that comes in. I've already decorated for Christmas. We put up my tree.
Oh yeah, sure, it's right there.
There it is.
Yeah,
We
already
had
listening to
exactly this
Christmas
moment
music,
the
all
last
this
time we
stuff.
recorded last year.
You did
Yeah.
I love that, and I'm glad you remembered to ask that question, Danielle, because I think that's so awesome that that's something you do. I love obviously movie reviews, but also part of the reason like my tags on socials are Nick loves movies is I think that even movies that we can sort of collectively agree are not objectively the best made films, there's still something to love about them, and I love that you've done that with this branch of movies, and that's such a great thing to do.
And there's a reason the movies exist. Like, there's a reason Hallmark puts out 25 new movies or whatever it is a year. Like, it's because people watch them, and they would stop doing it if people stopped watching them. So
yeah, they just bring you some kind of comfort and some kind of like magic. Because even after we watched this movie, Nick goes, "Okay, I'm in the holiday spirit," and then we just like started watching holiday things. So, yeah, I love it, and I know Nick with the K by association. You've kind of fallen into this holiday movie madness as well, right?
Yeah, I'm fighting it a little more this year. Also, okay, well, mostly because we've been so busy, we hardly got to watch any spooky stuff for Halloween. So I'm like, I still need to get that fix in, but we're already just plowing right into Christmas movies. Although today being the first snowfall is not a coincidence. Now I am very in the mood. This movie helped too, but like, yeah. I'm right with her though. I enjoy it too, even though they're very cheesy.
This is the rest of your life.
Yep, I'm ready.
Make your peace with it, Nick.
Last year I was like, here's what's going to happen on November 1st.
It is part of Madison's personality. I've known her for 4 years now, 5 years now.
I moved in
sometime,
2019, so maybe 4.
Yeah, about 4.
4.
She's always had a love for Christmas.
Well, I think this one in particular fits very well into your point about, in my humble opinion, and this will spoil a little bit of where I'm probably going to take things with my opinions. It's not the best movie, but it can still put you in the holiday spirit. and it is very cookie cutter. And in that regard, as we sat down to record, because it was only 2 nights ago that we watched this, I realized just how forgettable this movie was for me.
That's why I had to find my notebook.
I'm like, you guys started referencing some things, and I was looking at my notes, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's literally been 48 hours, and I have forgotten whole huge chunks of things from this movie.
Well, should we jog your memory and get
Let's
into
do it.
Okay. So this movie starts off with Lindsay Lohan. She back, baby. Honestly,
Danielle just can't get past this.
I just feel good for her because she's your age, actually. You're old, but she's like someone that I grew up with. So it's like, and she had a rough couple of years, and so it's really refreshing, I think, to see her just like back. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the nostalgia factor, but also just like, yay. She bounced back. We love to see it, So it's a real life holiday movie.
I will say she, as much as, again, I don't necessarily have a type of, she specifically, I feel like, has never truly been bad in anything that I've seen her in. Going as far back as, her breakout role when she obviously turned a lot of eyes with the, Parent Trap. You know what I mean? There's a reason she was cast in that and was, had that natural magnetism.
Yeah. So anyways, now Madison, you can stop me and tell me typical trope, because I haven't watched a ton of these. I did watch all the Vanessa Hudgens ones. But she starts off rich, spoiled gal, hotel heiress of, what were they? The Bentons or something?
The Belmont.
Belmont.
That's what it was.
Like the Avenue.
Yes, like Chicago. And they show the same shot of the people in the jacuzzi 37 times in this movie. It's just the roof shot of there's a hot tub on this roof, and they're wearing Santa hats and bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it shows her opulence because it's a ski resort, but she can't ski. Fun fact. And she's with her boyfriend, who little does she know is going to be her fiance, but he is clearly just more interested in himself. What did you all think about this opening relationship in the movie?
Well, I would. That is a trope, the spoiled rich girl, and then you're like, oh, well, something's gonna happen to humble her, or whatever. She's gonna realize that's not what life's about. So, I knew as soon as the movie starts, that's what's it about. But and you also know, when her boyfriend or whatever, it's not gonna work out. It's like they set him up to fail in the first place. I'm like, I don't understand this guy. Usually in these movies, the guy that the protagonist is with to begin with, you have an obvious reason to hate him. But I was like, this man is just the same as her.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any character flaws as much as he was just goofy and self-centered, I guess. And I was also why is he's gay?
Yeah, he's definitely gay.
but they don't
say that.
They don't say that at the beginning, and I was like, was this necessary to the plot? I don't know. I think that they tried to go with the trope and tried to do something different with the trope, and it just felt more tropey somehow. So
but funny enough, I actually thought, I wish they'd have leaned into that more, because I have a note somewhere. What the hell is that guy's name? I forget.
Tad. Madison loved his name. She's like,
oh my
whose
gosh,
name's
every time
Tad?
she said Tad, I thought she was saying dad.
But then her dad kept calling him Ted.
Uh-huh.
But he has his line with his side story with Ralph. And there was a time in this movie where I thought that wasn't that his name? Isn't that why you said? Okay.
Yeah.
The woodsman guy. I thought that they were going to, as you're saying, Madison, they were going to end up having dual enlightenment stories. He was going to have his own sort of storyline where he goes off and he spends his time in the woods and he maybe becomes aware of his own homosexuality, but more importantly, aware of his own version of coming in touch with what really matters in life. You know what I mean? And he was going to spend these days out in the woods without his cell phone and all that jazz. And then they kind of had a couple of scenes where it looked like they were doing that, and then they just stopped.
Yeah,
and I was like,
got arrested.
Okay.
There was no character development for him, and there was no real reason to dislike him other than he was just annoying. I don't know. Like, I was just like, am I supposed to be angry at this guy who was also stranded? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought Tad was pretty sweet, and that actor played it so perfectly with what he was given. He was given like, this is what you're annoying and you're full of yourself, and he did a great job. And actually, fun fact, Nick and I were looking this up, mostly Nick.
He looks like he's like in his 20s, right? At least he did to me.
He's 42.
He was 6 years older
That
than
actor
her.
is 42.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Lindsay Lohan is 36. So yeah.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
We
Anyways,
love age appropriate casting, though.
we do.
Indeed.
We love it.
And in fact, I'm a fan of when I thought it was reversed and she was just a little bit older than him and he was going to be like the young guy that she was getting because she was rich. I'm like, yeah, we see too much of that gender reversal happening in movies too. Why not have a rich woman getting a young, cute guy? But
That's true.
Yeah.
age appropriate's a good one.
So obviously they go up. He wants to get a photo shoot. And, you know, I think they did a couple of good things in this movie because after she falls and no one knows who she is and she forgets, I'm like, aren't there pictures everywhere all over her boyfriend's social media? But they make a comment, you've never posted a picture of us before. And then he says, I want this to be the first. So that's why they do that elaborate photo shoot where he proposes to her with the giant yellow diamond ring. Nick, you said you had thoughts about that.
That thing was gaudy and ugly and did not look good at all.
You know, no. Do you know how precious a yellow diamond is? Very. So that's, I
is
thought
that
was
really a thing?
Yeah, I think it was very appropriate because they were supposed to be so rich that, you know.
Really? See, I'm sure that's not actually a yellow diamond. So maybe my reaction
It
is
did not
just to the
look
fact
real.
that it wasn't, you know, production value or something. But I cannot imagine wanting something big and yellow on my finger like that. Madison, how would you have felt if you hadn't gotten such a beautiful flower, but instead a giant yellow rock? How would you have felt?
I would be like, oh, why'd you put like a kidney stone in here? No. Or like a piece of corn. Like,
It's corn.
Looks like a Jolly Rancher.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm not alone.
but I think like colored gemstones, especially rare diamonds, are really in right now for people who are like super rich or whatever. Like J-Lo's ring is green. So I would say it was basically like just saying like she's super rich and would want something that is more rare, I suppose.
Trending.
Okay.
And I love that he proposes and then she doesn't say anything except for it's too big. But she meant on her finger, not the rock. She had no problem with that, which I thought was funny. Also, I would like to. It's a very obvious Easter egg. You know, sometimes they sprinkle in those little Easter eggs. When Lindsay Lohan sings Jingle Bell Rock in the car.
Yeah. Nick caught that one. He was like, oh my gosh, Mean Girls.
And actually, we were listening to holiday radio the other day before we saw this movie, and Jingle Bell Rock came on, sung by Lindsay Lohan. And I was like,
I'm 90% certain that's the version that they are listening to, because that was the note that I had when you realized what the song was. I went, oh my God. And then if you listen to the like singing that's happening, I think it is actually her own version of that song that they are then listening to in the car.
but then it has a rap verse on it. So y'all give it a listen.
It's so meta.
And I just wrote like, I kept writing, of course she. So of course dad is a widow with a daughter and he has to go on a business trip, but he'll be back by the 24th. Of course her
Speaking
mom
of tropes.
died. You know what I thought was weird though, is she kept saying, or the dad kept saying, your mom told me to take care of you. And I'm like, but your wife, if I'm doing the math right, died 31 years ago. Why are you still bringing this up? Like, you are taking care of her. And also, why are you waiting till she's 36 to make sure she has her first job? I don't know. There was just a lot going on with that. Very forced. We really want Lindsay Lohan to be in here, but she's also 36 years old.
Are they normally younger than that in the movies that you watch, Madison? These tropes?
No. I would say you have a lot of your what's her name? Danica McKellar, I think. And
Yeah, because it's like the same 6 women that are in all of the movies, right?
40s, Cameron
Candace
Bure is
yeah.
older. Like, it's pretty common to have people who are like, women who are up to 50 years old in these movies.
Gassed.
I know. Yeah. So I would say it's not uncommon.
Okay.
But do you think it's uncommon that he's like, now in this moment, I'm reminding you that I have to take care of you and here's a job?
I think the reason he said that was just so they could justify the line at the end where she said, I could take care of myself. I sincerely think that they just were trying to drive it home so that line meant something.
Yeah.
That did seem to be what they were trying to make her arc out to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally had a moment where when they have the sudden montage of her just like doing chores and like she's terrible at all of them, it's clearly only like a day's time. Like one sleep occurs. She does these chores one day and then the next day she makes a perfect bed. Like no scene showing you anyone telling her how to use a fitted sheet. No, nothing that shows that she would have learned this progress. No. Next day she just wakes up and because she has chosen to be better at this, is now able to make a perfect bed.
It's magic. Speaking of magic, so we have the other family. We have Cord Overstreet, who is handsome. He just got some puffy cheeks, man.
The beard helps.
It does. He looks. I like him.
Yeah, he was looking good.
Really cute. He's obviously, and Madison trope alert probably, that he's about to lose his inherited family inn.
Mm-hmm. Big trope.
So him and his family are struggling. Also, guess what? His wife died. He's left with this beautiful daughter who actually is a great actress, and I hope to see her in a lot of other things. And his mother-in-law, who, man, that is a bad actress. That grandma is really bad. Am I the only one who thought that?
I didn't think she stood out in the whole cast of characters, but what about the two of you?
I think she did the job she was supposed to do.
I guess if I'm recalling, yeah, her line sounded a little robotic. I'm thinking of like when she gives her that dress for the last thing, she's like, I want you to wear this tonight. And it's just like, oh my gosh, the delivery. Yeah.
And I think that was also like, I mean, the cast was still very whitewashed, right? Except for the grandma was the only Hispanic or Latino actress, and except the daughter, I would assume. So yeah, it was just a very strange she didn't work with the cast a lot, and I wonder if they were just trying to make it so it wasn't so whitewashed.
Yeah, a little diverse.
Which is a solid thing, but I feel like Netflix has been doing a more diverse casting and more diverse choices lately. Like I look at, for example, Bridgerton. But that is a good example of them having done a much better job than what they did in this movie, because she does feel like she's just shoehorned in here because they were like, we decided we wanted someone who wasn't white. So just we'll cast some random Latina.
Yeah.
Other trope alert. We saw the real Santa because the daughter asks for a wish. Does Santa show up a lot, Madison?
Yeah.
See, I wondered if that was I have a note that he this is one of many movies that are like classic Christmas movies, but he even does the Miracle on 34th Street. She tracked it. Okay. Does that show up in things outside of Miracle on 34th Street? Is that something that happens? Okay. That makes sense.
It's either that
he
or
touches his nose.
Exaggerated.
Exaggerated wink.
Yeah.
I'm Santa.
It looked so awkward too. If you see Miracle on 34th Street, it just kind of looks natural, and it looks beautiful, and it looks magical. And then this guy looked like he just tried to pick his nose but missed.
The other thing I do want to say about the Santa is he had a lot of work done.
He was weird.
Yeah, he was halfway to Plastic Santa and
yes.
Claus.
Yes, true.
And he's Michael Scott's classy Santa with the hat. It's a mix of all three.
Yeah. They want to just pull it in from all the inspiration. Yeah. I was a little confused at first. I was like, oh, of course they have to go see the Christmas tree, then Santa's there, then they also have to make a random wish, which doesn't go with the storyline, but came back in the end, I guess. So then, Lindsay Lohan, she get amnesia. I did not expect Tad to fall and go the other way either.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yeah,
we
that
also
was-
talk about, and this is a downer, but I brought it up with Nikki. He knows what I'm gonna say.
Uh-oh.
But I found it like very on the nose and somewhat insensitive the way that she's injured. Because if you'll remember, Lindsay Lohan was in The Parent Trap, and the mom in The Parent Trap literally died in real life from a ski accident and running into a tree.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, she died of a traumatic brain injury.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I was like, they're not gonna. They did. And so I just find it weird that no one in the studio was like, maybe we figure out a different way.
Yeah.
Or
Like-
Lindsay herself? Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Anyway,
I
that's
mean,
a downer, but
I thought it was like an outdated way of doing things. Like I thought it was like, this feels like something that a modern movie would not do, because we know just, it's sort of like you couldn't really do Home Alone anymore, because an actual sort of savvy moviegoer today, I think even as a kid, is going to see the bong, ding, boom, and just be like, oh my God, they're literally dying right now. They would be dead. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing I thought while watching this. I was like, this is some, 1990s literally cartoon stuff that we've got going on here. I can't believe that, but then that's what happened.
Because then Tad rolls down the hill the other way and definitely would have gotten hypothermia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again very tropey, like in Hallmark movies for bad things to happen. I mean, I wouldn't say there's very much like injuries involved. This is one of the first ones that I've seen where usually it's like girl leaves town, discovers what the meaning of life is. But yeah, I mean, but it's very tropey for Hallmark movies to be unrealistic.
Well, and it also, and speaking of unrealistic, the thing that was very interesting to me about her amnesia is usually part of their growth or part of their discovering their new selves is that they kind of don't know how to behave with the amnesia, so they behave sort of better, and then it's when they get their memory back, they're like, well, I like the person I've been for the last few days. At least that's been my experience, not necessarily in Hallmark specifically, but just movies that have amnesia. In this one, she very specifically could not remember who she was, but seemed able to remember literally everything else about who she was.
Oh yeah,
Who
like,
she is in terms of her personality. I don't like bacon. I don't make beds. I'm still a whiny brat. Like all of the above. And the only thing was she's just like, oh, I just for some reason can't remember my name or who my parents are. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. That stood out to me. It's like that is some very crazy, unique, specific TBI that's happening.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It is a little yikes. When she hit that tree, I was like, oh God, that was rough.
Yeah.
But also, we talked about this a little bit already, but someone would recognize this bitch. Like,
Mhm.
you are the heir of this giant hotel chain.
That's just on the other side of the mountain. Like,
And she ran into Cord already in the freaking hotel.
Which Nick said, but if you'll remember, she was wearing giant sunglasses.
That's
And when
what
I-
Nick said.
And when I saw the giant sunglasses the first time, I was like, why is she wearing giant sunglasses indoors? And then once he didn't recognize her, I was like, is this Cinderella? Okay. Where the guy can't remember what the girl looks like
Mhm.
because I don't know. Oh, I mean, this guy wasn't supposed to be shallow, but I would say a pretty shallow dude if he can't remember. I don't know. And I mean, it's not like he has guests in and out of his inn. She's probably like one of 5 people he's seen in the last 2 days.
Yeah. And he would remember being in the context of the hotel because he was just there trying to ask for money. It's like, oh, hotel, heiress, whatever.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, if you think about it, she would have been wearing like ski goggles and would have been like, part of me started to say, oh, well, maybe when he met her, different context, different clothing. But her loud pink snowsuit is kind of similar to the loud red
Yeah. the
dress
feathery
that she was
thing.
wearing
Yeah.
when they first ran into it. I would have thought that those two would have stuck together quickly, but they didn't.
And then no one in town knows who she is. No doctor, no sheriff.
But at the end of the movie, they show that she's been on the news all week.
Also at the end of the movie, when the sheriff is like meeting with the father who has come to him to clearly say, my daughter is missing, help me find her. It's the exact same sheriff who was literally in the hospital and said, well, we'll keep an eye out for anyone who's looking for a missing person. And yet they're not rushing off to the hospital together when Ralph comes to get arrested. No. They're just chilling in the sheriff's office. And he's like, oh, gee, I guess we might as well get your daughter who you've been missing for 48 hours. Like, what? How did that even? Oh, sorry. Okay, continue.
So she's got some borrowed clothing. She wears the same blue sweater twice. Yikes. And honestly, though, Madison, I think this is why you love the magic. I love the magic. The people love the magic of the holiday movies. I wanted to be at the North Star Inn so bad.
Fair enough.
It was the cutest little decorated place I ever did see.
It was so cozy looking.
It was like a Stars Hollow.
Yeah.
It's in Park City, Utah, guys. Go visit it.
What?
Nick's like, I've literally seen it. It's
I looked up where they shot it because when we were watching it, I'm like, where's this going to take place? These mountains look like the Alps. I was trying to be all wise, and they filmed it in Utah.
Is there a lot of snow in Utah? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you get up the mountains.
Wait, I'm dumb because I watch, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and they're always wearing fur and they're in snow. So yeah, obviously.
Oh boy.
So that was very cute and magical. And there's a scene where they have stained glass windows, but the stained glass are reindeer, and I was like, oh, they're Christmassy year round. Anyways, loved it. Also, did you notice that these Netflix original shows always plug Netflix?
I love it.
Always.
And sometimes they do crossovers too. Like I can't remember if it's in one of the Princess Switch movies or in one of the other princess movies.
Yeah. Night for
The Christmas Prince.
Yeah,
Oh,
where like
wait.
where like actors from the other movies will be in that movie as the same character.
It's the same world.
I mean, everything's got to be a cinematic universe these days. I will say, on that same note, genuine like chuckles or real laughs that I got going back to, and I realize we bounced around, but
I know, I'm trying to go in order in my notes.
The montage. The montage seemed so dumb and so tropey to me, except for the moment when she got the toilet brush stuck in the toilet and couldn't get. I laughed. I couldn't help myself. I was like, this is such a dumb gag.
So did we.
Actually making me laugh.
Yeah, when she was like holding the blankets, like or whatever. Right before the montage, I said, "Nick, there's montage."
I love it.
Saw it coming. Knew it was there.
When the toilet brush thing happened, I don't understand how that happened.
I don't think it's possible. That's why it was so funny to me. Like, that's not how toilet brushes work.
She got in real deep. The one thing I want to say about the montage also is that most of them were truly accidents. She was just clumsy, but they made it be like, oh, she's so dumb. She doesn't know how to make a bed. But like, she slipped on the ice getting wood. She accidentally knocked the whole bottle of laundry detergent in. Oops.
Yeah, I looked away and was taking notes or something, and then you told me that the whole bottle fell in, and I was just like, that's not you being bad at laundry. That's just you not being terribly observant. But I could see that happening to me, and I'm the one who always does the laundry.
Speaking of which, when she did do laundry, Nick had some notes for her.
Oh, let's hear it.
I knew you could bring this up. Unbelievable. I'm not going to entertain this. You can tell him, Madison.
Oh. Fight.
No, Nick, he is particular about laundry, and so she dumped the soap in the laundry bowl and then put her clothes on and then start the laundry, and then he was like, that's not how you do it. You have to wait for the bin to fill with water, then put the soap in. And I was like, no. And he was like, yes. And then I was like, I'm not doing that. moment of discovery for him to learn that I've been doing laundry wrong my whole life.
Whole life.
Wow. I'm so glad this movie can bring you closer together.
You just need to get one of the machines like what we have, where it's got like its special little tray that holds it. Because ours locks shut. But I know exactly what you're talking about, Nick, because you can get your clothes like greasy and slimy and weird, and because the residue will stick to it if the soap is just poured directly or touching directly on the clothes.
I'm like,
that's never happened to me.
I have to make a confession.
It's probably happened and you just literally didn't know that's what it was.
All right. Are you ready for my confession?
We all know what's coming.
I haven't done my laundry in 8 years because I married Nick. So I've never even used our washing machine here.
And movie lovers, remember, we've only been married for 4, so...
Yes.
Wow.
Anyways, when she realizes that she does like bacon, the way that Lindsay Lohan was chewing in that moment reminded me so much of Tyra Banks in Life Size. And I was like, call back. Because you know when she eats the butter?
So random.
I don't know. It's great. So
she did look effectively like someone who had never eaten bacon.
Yeah.
And didn't know how you were supposed to chew it.
Yeah. So I love that moment. Ralph and Tad fall in love. That is my note here. I love Ralph. What'd y'all think of Ralph?
Ralph was funny.
That's it.
That was my favorite part of the movie. I wanted more of their story.
Yes,
truly.
they were cute together.
I tuned them out a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Not on purpose. Just
Even
like,
Nick is aghast.
I know. I am just like, I'm like, okay, all right. This is a side plot.
Okay, but the moment when he was like, oh, I have shoes for, he was like putting snowshoes on him, and Tad was laying with his feet up, and he was like,
Oh!
They made that oddly sexual.
Plus, he's like, I can't wear those, and he's like, I have big feet, and his mom's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that was a very sexual moment.
Yeah, a lot of chemistry between those two.
I frankly think there was more chemistry between those two than there were the actual leads.
Wow.
Yeah.
No shade against either of those actors. I think that they were like delivering their lines just fine. But we said this about Thor Ragnarok. Again, I think Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman, phenomenal actors.
Phenomenal.
But their chemistry does not exist.
Yeah, I will say, when we watched, jumping to the end, but like you watch the bloopers
kiss?
at the end.
Oh.
And you're like, oh my God, there's so much more like levity and joy and connection in these bloopers than there was in the movie, because the writing is so clunky. It's like, you are a simple girl who does not know who you are.
Yeah.
I like you. You know, I'm like, why does he like her? She's got nothing going for her. I don't know. But I will say Lindsay Lohan made me tear up with her acting when she said, I'm a useless human.
Yeah.
That made me so sad. She did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, that's her acting's good, and then I think that is a feeling that I think many human beings can identify with feeling at some point in their lives. Like they're useless.
Yeah. So that was the only good moment of emotion. And then the fact that her name is Sierra.
Yes.
How did they know?
It was too close. And the fact that her like stuffed animals were all named something weird. It was like Doodle, Poodle, Boodle, Sarah.
Yeah. Why don't we name you after one of them? Here's 5 names to choose from. Which one are you going to pick? That was good.
So then they throw the party to save the inn, and Cord keeps saying, I can't take money. But then the first check comes out. They're like, thank you, I owe you money. Second check comes out. Thank you, I owe you money. And then a whole money basket comes out in the middle of the party. Did you all notice that?
Very It's a Wonderful Life.
I wrote that down too. Movie number 2 I thought was being troped.
Oh, didn't catch that.
You didn't? That's because you hate It's a Wonderful Life. Tune in next month, movie lovers.
It's true. Oh, another note. I wrote, what was the dress code at the party?
Oh, I said that too. I was like, there's people with sweaters and jeans. There's a woman in what looks like a wedding gown.
Pajamas? They have pajamas. It's very good.
And
I mean,
the
he did
dress-
walk around saying, if you have plans.
The dress that Lindsay Lohan was wearing, very nice dress, but like also very weird to get from as a gift to what I presume is going to be her future mother-in-law. But like, that's a weird dress just to get as a present.
Yeah.
From
To someone you
Rachel.
met 2 days ago.
Let me quote Nick. When she came down the stairs, he goes, "Oh, she's still smuggling melons."
That was my very shallow comment, because I can remember Lindsay Lohan from my days growing up. One of the things that caught a young man's eye about her was she was very endowed. And I felt like she did not appear that way through this movie. But I think that
Because
whole
of the
scene
sweater.
with the
It was a
dress,
lost and found sweater.
I'm like, I think it was they put her in baggy stuff, and I don't know if she's just maybe not as comfortable or didn't want the movie to be about that, but it feels like they had that obligatory scene where she's in this like overly sexualized pretty dress.
Walks down
Again,
the stairs.
shoehorned the moment of why it's there, because why would this woman have given her that dress randomly for no reason? It's probably expensive and they can't even afford to keep their business open, but it's there. And then she's walking down, and then the other part is she immediately puts a sweater on over it.
The jacket was
It's the
weird.
purpose. And it did not go with it at all.
No. Weird wardrobe choice.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. So essentially, the party saves him, but then she finally gets her memory because Tad and Dad find her, and then the girl is so sad because she said, "I didn't get my wish. I wanted you to have someone to love." Is that a trope, Madison?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always the moment at the end of the movie where you think what's supposed to happen and you know that's gonna happen doesn't happen, and there's like, oh well, and then it happens.
And I like that the solution was like, just go tell her. And he was like, okay. And then he did. And then the movie ended. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it feels like they were, again, that was supposed to be the when Harry met Sally moment, the running through the streets or running through the airport to go profess
Oh, and
your
I
love.
knew Santa was going to leave the sleigh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely Chekhov's sleigh when that got introduced earlier.
Which that's a comment.
I love that Nick immediately recognized what I
No,
was
yeah,
saying.
that's a comment that Nick made when we watched it, and she put on the ring and she was, oh, it's too big. And then when she was falling and he tried to catch her and
Ring's
couldn't,
gonna
and the
slip.
ring slipped off. Nick goes, Chekhov's ring, that's Chekhov's ring. Because she had previously commented that it was too big, and that's
What
why
is-
she flipped.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm dumb. Who's Chekhov?
Nick, you want to explain?
Actually, Madison's the one who has told me about it. But yeah, it's when they will either show somebody really close up, say they set a gun down or something in a movie, and then later where's my gun? Anytime they're overtly zooming in or pointing something out, it's gonna come back and probably cause problems.
Yeah,
Got
it comes from I forget what his name, Andrew Chekhov. I don't remember. His last name is Chekhov. He, the idea is that if there's a gun on the set hanging on a wall, then it's going to be used in the play. You're gonna see it again, and it's gonna get fired. So, in modern terms, yeah. If you see something that they point
Chekhov's
out,
gun, if it's introduced in Act 1, it will get used in Act 3.
So the ring and the sleigh, I got it. Because why else would they point out the sleigh?
Exactly. They take a whole 90-second sequence to be like, oh, this sleigh, wish we could have it. Oh, that'd be nice.
Can't afford it. Let me just randomly buy this snow globe.
Yeah, let me buy a snow globe for a complete stranger instead.
And she's like, my mother.
Oh, also at the end of this movie, they did something which I love to hate. in every movie that does it, and that is a 30-second montage of scenes we've just watched for the last 45 minutes.
Yes.
I'm like, I remember all this. I'm here for it.
I was there. It's only a 90-minute movie.
Yeah. I'm like, we don't need this. We've lived it.
I gotta point out
At the time.
one of my favorite roast lines of this movie when they're talking about the angel, and he's like, I just don't want to put it up because there's tough memories around it. And she's like, I think memories are important. And he's like, what would you know about memories? You don't remember who you are. He did not just say that.
Damn. Yeah, that was funny. That was the
Caught it the second time too when she like is leaving with her dad and Tad, and she's like, thank you guys so much for what you did. And he's like, forget about it. I was like, that's a good one too.
I see what you did there. Chekhov's memories.
Nice. Good callback. Good callback. I will say I wanted to make one note of like, as much as I have shat all over this movie and don't have the very high opinion of it as a quality film per se, I do love anything that's, especially around the holidays, but anything that kind of ends with this really uplifting message of like the importance of community and the nice message of, you know, selflessness and the idea of paying it forward and sort of, you know, it is very much the It's a Wonderful Life idea, but like he has done so much kindness for everyone around him that when the chips hit the ground, you know, he begrudgingly admits help and then everyone's there for him. This idea that, you know, that selflessness comes back.
But she's the only one who gets the credit for it because she said it out loud on the news, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
I mean, that's when it gets all the
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said it out loud.
Mhm.
I made my made my note when they were handing in checks, so I apologize.
Oh, okay.
That was the piece I was.
But yeah, no, I agree. And I did tear up a little bit when the grandma was like, hello.
Yeah.
The phones.
Oh yeah.
Hold please. Hold
Speaking of
please.
bad acting.
Grandma's the worst.
Oh
man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does say something that's like, you know, everybody loves to see someone who cares for somebody like being cared for, I would say. It does stink that it also followed like the trope that life follows, you know, like nobody is recognized unless an influencer calls him out first. Like
Yeah.
his inn would have closed down if he didn't know a famous person. Like or didn't help a famous person. I mean, you could also say you never know who you're helping and like how like things will, you know, how things will come back to you and that kind of thing. But like, yeah, it is sad. There's like, especially with now going down a sad trail, but with like COVID, there's so many small businesses that close to kind of like deserve that same love and recognition that,
Yeah.
you know, didn't necessarily get it. But it's a good reminder to like value the places that we do hold dear and to like go to them and to be thankful for them while they're around.
Yeah, I agree.
Very much agreed. On that downer, we want to go ahead and give our ratings.
Wait, I do want to say one last
Oh,
thing.
go
I know I
ahead.
already said it at the beginning, but like the fact that Tad ran off with the bellboy, we love it. We love to see it. We knew Tad was gay the whole time. Or, you know what? I shouldn't say that. He might have been bi. Yeah.
Pan, who knows?
But he seemed much happier with the bellboy. So he got a happy ending.
Yeah, I did think it was a very odd choice to like have him with her in the first place. 'Cause
Yeah.
he wasn't with her for money, so I was like, what's happening here? So maybe he was bi.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an interest. That was not. I don't think that's a trope. I think it's a trope in other movies. Like you see it in like Beauty and the Beast with like Gaston and Lumiere and the boot or whatever. But yeah, I'm glad everybody ended up like happy in the end, and there wasn't anybody who was like the villain and carted off or whatever. Because I don't think anyone deserved that in this movie.
Except Ralph was in jail. Oh no, he got out of jail.
Yeah, they let him
Yeah,
go.
they didn't even arrest him really.
I'd marry Ralph. I was into him. Anyways, what were you saying?
And anything else you all wanted to say about this movie? Anything we didn't touch on?
No, I think you guys covered all my stuff.
We watched the entire
My
plot.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well then I'll go ahead and I'll set the tone with mine because I know that you all may be a little bit more chipper about it. The fact that I couldn't remember any of this movie actually dinged it even further until we were talking about it because I'd written down 2.5. It's going down to a 2.0 out of 5 hearts. So movie
Oh, okay.
level-
I thought this was out of 10. I was like,
Oh, no. Sorry, I forgot to mention. We do a score rating of 0 to 5 hearts. This is intended to be the objective rating. Sometimes my wife goes ahead and skips that. Then we also do a would you renew your vows? And so this is, do you think you could see yourself seeing this movie again? Are you excited to see it again, etc. So 2.0 out of 5 stars, and no, I would not renew. I'm sorry.
2.0.
2.0. 2
Okay.
out of 5. Danielle.
I too am gonna give it a 2.5.
Oh, 2.5. Okay.
2.5 out of 5 hearts, just because, like, yeah, that wasn't a good movie. The writing was very bad. But would I renew my vows? Yeah, I'm gonna watch it probably every year from here on out. So
I will happily put on the Christmas Prince, all 3 of them before I. All right, Nick, Madison.
I will give it. I'll give it maybe a 3, only because it did what it was supposed to do. I think
Fair.
they had no intention of it being a serious film, and when you watch it, I think there's some of it that's satire. Like they purposely did it the way that they purposely made it cringy, and so I think with that in mind. But yeah, it's not a good movie. Like you don't watch it for a cinematic experience. And I probably wouldn't really watch it again. Honestly, there's like so much content. Listen,
She's like, let me defend myself.
there are some movies that are like cringy, so cringy. I have to watch them every year. Like Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square. If you have not seen it,
I
you
haven't.
must watch this. It is so bad. That is so good. That is so
Previews
bad.
for next year, maybe.
Oh man, just watch it. Dolly Parton's a delight.
She is always.
But this movie,
National treasure.
and it's a musical. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, but I watch that every year because I'm like, I can't believe that's a real thing. But this one walked the line of being like so forgettable that I don't know that I'll watch it again.
Wow.
Maybe someday, but probably not on purpose.
You forgot you watch it, and then you watch it again.
Maybe you just turn your TV on and Netflix has it just on the screen, like in the movie.
No.
It's like the new Yule log.
Yeah.
All right, Nick.
Okay, I will give it a 2.6. I'll go a little
Wow.
bit back to Danny.
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, it's just not horrible. Otherwise, but it doesn't have any distinguishing qualities. I guess. And there's the nostalgia of the Lindsay Lohan return. So, would I watch it again? I'd give it every 3 years, maybe,
Okay.
to work it into the rotation when something bad. Yeah.
I like it. Actually, I genuinely hope this is the beginning of. I'm not saying this to be funny. I genuinely hope this is the beginning of Lindsay Lohan's comeback.
I would be
I miss
okay
her.
with that. Like, I don't necessarily want to rewatch this movie again, but I would watch another movie with
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan. I mean, her acting is not terrible. Yeah.
She did what she was supposed to do, and she made me tear up. And I want it to be like a Vanessa Hudgens thing, where this is her new thing now. She's in cringy Netflix movies.
Falling for Christmas too, and it's them actually running the B&B together.
Mm-hmm. I do wonder if a lot of like really well-known celebrities go for these types of movies because they're a little bit like lower key, lower budget. They still get to do what they love, but they don't have the pressure as much. And there's not as much, there's not like huge premieres that they have to go to, a lot of publicity, but they still get to do what they love in a smaller context. And then their, movies get watched because of their names. So they still have a small element of fame.
Oh yeah, I mean, this movie was, as soon as it came out, #1 in movies on Netflix like this whole weekend. So yeah, people are gonna watch it for sure.
And that's a solid point, Madison, because I think there are people like her that you get the sense if you see interviews, especially from when she was younger and then through the rest of her life. She is one of those people who was like, she just loved the art of acting. You know, and it was something she was really passionate about. That's why she got into it. Then that path led her down some different choices and maybe got further and further away from that art. And like you're saying, this is a chance to do that in a low key, low stakes environment.
And the next place you'll see her, The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
Nah, it'll be a few years.
All right.
But anyway, all right. Well, I guess that's it for us, movie lovers. We just need to do our plugs real quick. Madison, let's go. Nick, Madison, and then Dani and I. So Nick, anything to plug?
No. Madison shows.
There you go. Madison shows.
My fiance.
I knew he was going to say that. Madison, where can people see you?
Hold on a second. Nick, did you just say you want to plug your fiance? I just want to make sure we don't let that line go past.
Hi, Mom.
Had to take the opportunity to embarrass a little bit. Madison, you have shows.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're kind of on a hiatus right now, but I'm in minor league at Comedy Sports with Dani. So we'll start having shows more regularly in the new year on Thursdays. And then also I'm part of the Tragic School Bus, which is a comedy team. We do improv and sketch, and we'll have more shows in the new year also. But you can catch us at Tragic School Bus Comedy on Instagram and I think Facebook. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
There you go. All right, go find at Tragic School Bus Comedy and your movie reviews series on Instagram. Where can people find you for that?
Oh yes, you can follow me at Mad Marley on Instagram. I haven't posted any yet, but I will post probably a review of this one. People have been asking for this one.
There you go.
But I was like, I can't scoop the podcast episode.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciate that.
So yeah, I will review this one on there after the podcast episode airs, and probably a few more along the way. I see that Netflix is releasing a lot in the coming month, so very excited for that.
Heck yeah. What if we did... What is the Vanessa Hudgens one? I just love it so much.
The Princess Switch?
Yeah, what if they have 4 girls next time?
Oh my gosh. I hope.
Oh man. I forgot that they the most recent one was there's a third cousin that somehow.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yes, Nick and I reviewed that one last year.
It was great. I'm gonna watch that one again. Actually, maybe after this. All of them.
I'm down with that. All right.
My plugs?
Yeah, your plugs.
Same as Madison. Come see us at Comedy Sports Thursday nights for league night.
Did you join the Tragic School Bus too? You said same as Madison.
No, not that one. I'm also in Bubby and Zadie Home for Hanukkah on Thursday nights at Piper's Alley. So you can come catch me as one of the Christmas carols. Cool. And also I'm in a new old web series that just came out today.
Oh, they're
I saw that with Wes.
Yeah, it's at Creative Juices 7th on YouTube, but it's a D&D, PSA, ABCD. I don't know. There's a lot of letters to it, and it's basically a parody of Dungeons and Dragons where we are the characters, and I am a killer librarian.
Creative Juices 7th, you said.
7th, yes.
So by the time listeners you're hearing this, not only will Dani's video have aired, but I'm sure several others will
I don't know. I'm out on the 29th.
Oh, I thought you were. Oh, he was posting about it on the 29th. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, never mind then. There will at least be one or more videos at Creative Juices 7th on Instagram. YouTube. So I'm glad this is why you correct me.
And you can follow them on Instagram as well. Funny stuff.
Yes, I was gonna say I've been seeing the production, the behind the scenes photos is what I've been watching, which is why I knew that from Instagram. All right, well, Dani, where can the listeners, the movie lovers, find you on all the socials for yourself?
At Dani Miami 4. I'm most active on Instagram though. Today I did give myself a timer. I gotta not be so active on Instagram. That's about it.
I am not quite as toxically engaged with the social media
Sorry, I'm
at least at this
addicted.
time. So you can find me personally at Nick Loves Movies. That's NICLUV, Nick Loves Movies, on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also at that handle on Letterboxd. Go ahead and follow me on Letterboxd, and I've been getting a little bit more active on there as well. You can find us on YouTube or anywhere else that podcasts are shared. Make sure to give us to your friends. Find us 5 stars. We'd love to have some love notes that come back. And if you are an international listener, please just send us an email with a screenshot of your review for 5 stars. We can't see them if you're not in the United States, unfortunately. And so that email is in the letter N, lovewithmovies@gmail.com. And like we said earlier, that is also where our socials are at on Instagram and Twitter at the letter N, Love with Movies, all spelled out at In Love with Movies. And we will see you all next time for more holiday themes in the future.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Indeed.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
All right. We love you, Nick and Madison. I love you, Dani.
I love you, Nick.
I'm so sorry, phlegm in my throat. And we love you, movie lovers. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle. You know I'm talking about the she hits herself. Ooh, I'm sweating. Mm-hmm.
What do you all have in terms of plans for Thanksgiving?
I'm supposed to go back to Pittsburgh. And then, yeah, Nick will celebrate with his family here. So it'll be like the last year where we're celebrating apart. But I wanted to give my family like that last year that I'll be at Thanksgiving before we start. We'll probably do Thanksgiving with his family and Christmas with mine every year.
Nick, is that confirmed?
I guess so.
Hello.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer right there.